Today, we continue our story of paper, its history, and its significance throughout the centuries. As we already learned in Part 1, paper originated in China. The knowledge of papermaking then made its way into the Arab world, where paper not only helped preserve the knowledge of the ancient world, but also promoted science and education and played an active role in the spread of Islam. This era came to an end with the Mongol invasions and the Crusades. Baghdad was almost completely destroyed, and the famous House of Wisdom in Baghdad was wiped out along with its vast collection of books. But the story of paper did not end there. Instead, it continued its journey. In the 11th century, paper reached European soil for the first time, more precisely, Sicily and the Iberian Peninsula. The Arabs, who ruled large parts of Spain, brought with them not only their architecture, mathematics, and astronomy, but also a revolutionary technology, the art of papermaking. In the cities of Córdoba, Seville, and Valencia, the first paper mills in Europe emerged during the 12th century. Here, Moorish craftsmen laid the foundations for European papermaking. They used techniques they had brought from the East and further developed themselves. Yet Europeans initially viewed this new material with considerable skepticism. Unlike expensive but durable parchment, which was made from animal skins, paper was regarded as an inferior material. It was cheaper to produce, but it was also less durable. These reservations went so far that in 1221, Emperor Frederick II issued an edict expressly prohibiting the use of paper for official documents. The reason was a practical one. The rice starch used to treat early paper attracted insects, which damaged the material and made it unsuitable for important documents intended to last for generations. In Britain, Parliament rejected the use of paper, and that tradition has remained in place to this day. All original documents of the British Parliament are still produced exclusively on parchment. Despite these initial difficulties, paper slowly began to make its way across Europe. From Spain, the technology spread to Italy, where it was to undergo significant further development. While Spain was where paper first set foot on European soil, it was the small Italian town of Fabriano that became the true center of innovation in European papermaking during the 13th century. Here, groundbreaking techniques emerged that would revolutionize the production of paper. The papermakers of Fabriano introduced several crucial improvements. One of the most important was the mechanization of the process of pounding rags using hydraulic hammers powered by water mills. This innovation significantly reduced the time needed to produce paper pulp and greatly increased productivity. In Europe, the raw material for papermaking was not fresh plant matter, but rags, scraps of fabric made from cotton, hemp, flax, and linen. These were collected in cities by rag collectors and transported to the paper mills. There, a labor-intensive processing procedure began. First, the rags were carefully sorted and stripped of any foreign materials, such as buttons or seams. They were then cut into smaller pieces using a scythe blade and soaked in water. In the beating mills, the fibers were further broken down until a homogeneous pulp was produced. This process could take several days. Another important innovation concerned the molds used to form the sheets of paper. Since bamboo and reeds, which were commonly used in China, were not readily available, European papermakers equipped their molds with wire mesh. This had the advantage of allowing the water to drain more quickly, thereby speeding up the manufacturing process. At the vat, a lead-lined tub containing the mixture of fibers and water. The papermakers worked together in a carefully coordinated process. The vatman dipped the mold into the pulp and, through a series of skilled movements, formed an even layer of fibers. An experienced vatman could produce up to 5,000 sheets of paper a day. The coucher then took over the mold and transferred the still damp sheet of paper onto a felt cloth, a process known as couching. This created a stack of alternating layers of paper and felt, which was then pressed to remove excess water. One of the most significant innovations introduced by the papermakers of Fabriano was the use of watermarks. By sewing metal threads onto the paper mold, they created lighter areas in the paper that became visible when held up to the light. These watermarks served as trademarks of the paper mills and as a means of protection against forgery. Perhaps the most important improvement, however, was the introduction of sizing with animal gelatin instead of rice starch. This innovation solved the problem of insect infestation that had plagued early Arab paper. The gelatin not only made the paper more durable, but also made it better suited for writing, as it prevented ink from spreading and soaking into the fibers. Interestingly, the Fabriano brand of paper has survived to this day, and anyone can still buy this traditional paper in stores. After the paper formula was changed, parchment and paper. After these changes to the paper-making process, parchment and papyrus could no longer compete with paper, which was cheaper and could be produced on a much larger scale. For example, producing a 300-page book required around 100 animal skins. For a Bible, it could take as many as 300 skins. From the 14th century onward, papermaking began to spread to other parts of Europe as well. The first paper mill in Germany was established near Nuremberg in 1390. By the year 1500, there were already around 60 paper mills across Europe. 100 years later, that number had risen to 200. The mass production of paper in Europe laid the foundation for the modern financial system. Thanks to paper, bills of exchange became widely used, making it no longer necessary to carry large quantities of heavy coins when traveling. A person could obtain a bill of exchange in one place and exchange it for coins somewhere else. At the time, the Knights Templar were one of the key players in this system. Their extensive network of castles across the continent helped provide the infrastructure that made this system of transferring funds possible. Furthermore, documenting financial transactions on paper marked the beginning of systematic financial accounting and the tracking of money flows. Paper also made it possible to structure and organize government processes by enabling laws and decrees issued by rulers to be quickly distributed and communicated to their officials and subjects. It was during this period that the foundations of modern bureaucracy were laid, as all of these processes had to be organized and administered. Essentially, paper made possible the creation of the society we live in today, through accounting, government administration, and the regulation and organization of society. Yet, with its arrival, paper came into conflict with one of the most powerful institutions in Europe, the Catholic Church. The ability to produce paper in large quantities gave people greater access to information and made it possible for information to be shared on an unprecedented scale. At the same time, the idea of translating the Bible from Latin into the languages of Europe was becoming increasingly popular. The Catholic Church could not allow this to happen because it would risk losing its monopoly over the authoritative interpretation of biblical texts. Anyone who could read in their native language would be able to read the Bible for themselves and interpret its contents according to their own understanding. For the Church, this created a constant threat of heresy. It should be noted here that the Catholic Church never actually banned paper, but it viewed its spread with considerable reluctance. By then, however, the process was already well underway. The Vatican, the center of the Catholic Church and the guardian of centuries-old traditions, played a special role in the history of paper in Europe. Today, the Vatican Library houses one of the world's most important collections of historical documents, many of them written on paper. However, the foundation of what we know today as the Vatican Library was not laid until 1447, under Pope Nicholas V. Pope Nicholas V recognized the importance of knowledge and ordered the extensive acquisition of manuscripts and books from across Europe and the East. An entire army of scribes was constantly engaged in copying books from the collections of other libraries and adding them to the holdings of the Vatican Library. A milestone in the history of the Vatican Library came with the papal bull Ad Decorum Militantis Ecclesiae, issued by Pope Sixtus IV on June 15, 1475. This document gave the library a formal legal structure, and the humanist Bartolomeo Platina was appointed as the first librarian of the modern Vatican Library. In around 1450, Johannes Gutenberg revolutionized the world with the development of the printing press using movable type. Books that had previously had to be copied by hand could now be produced on a large scale. This led to an explosive increase in the demand for paper, as it was the perfect medium for printing texts. This event would change the course of European and world history. The Reformation was about to begin. Before the advent of paper, ideas spread primarily through public speaking, with information passed directly from one person to another. But the written word on paper could speak to the entire world, unlike the small group of people who could hear a speaker in person. On October 31, 1517, the German theologian Martin Luther nailed his 95 Theses criticizing Catholicism to the door of the Castle Church in Wittenberg. At that time, Luther was not a particularly well-known figure, and his action could easily have ended there. But his followers began printing his German translation of the Bible and his 95 Theses en masse. Thanks to this, Luther's ideas became known to nearly everyone in a short time. In the first 3 years of the Reformation, 300,000 copies of Luther's publications were printed, a large number even by today's standards, and at the time it was a gigantic figure. Paper became the creator of collective action. For all of European society, paper became a symbol of progress and education, but at the same time, it also marked the beginning of propaganda. Each side tried to use the medium of paper for its own interests. During this historical period, literacy among the population was low. Only about 15% of people could read and write. Therefore, posters and printed graphics began to spread certain information in an understandable form through images. Later, newspapers and magazines took over this role, and, until the emergence of digital media, became a kind of social network through which information was spread. The success of the printing press led to a boom in paper production. From the 16th century onward, paper mills were built throughout Europe. Particularly in Italy, France, and the Netherlands, thriving paper industries emerged. Paper became increasingly affordable and accessible to the general population. But paper was important for more than just books. It also found applications in art and architecture. Documents, official records, and contracts were written on paper, making bureaucracy more efficient and easier to manage. With the Industrial Revolution in the 18th and 19th centuries, papermaking took another giant leap. Machines increasingly replaced manual labor. Paper was no longer produced in small mills, but in enormous factories. Yet until the 19th century, there was a significant problem in the papermaking process. Until that time, the main raw material for paper production in Europe and America was cloth, mainly textile waste, and this was needed in very large quantities. At first glance, this did not seem like a major problem, but as demand for paper grew, the amount of cloth the industry produced simply was not enough. This led to real paper shortages. Americans, for example, actively bought textile waste from other countries, and many ships loaded with old clothing crossed the oceans. Everyone tried to solve this problem. British industrialists, for example, tried for a long time to make paper from straw. It was not until 1841 that the German inventor Friedrich Gottlob Keller discovered a new raw material for paper production: wood. Although, as we know from the first part of the history of paper, the Chinese had already used tree bark for papermaking centuries earlier, it took Europeans much longer to finally learn of this method. In Keller's handwritten notes, kept in the form of an idea notebook, one finds in 1841 to 1842 the idea of making paper from wood fibers produced by friction. While putting this idea into practice, he recalled wasps' nests, which are made of wood fibers bound with saliva. At the end of 1843, Keller succeeded in producing paper by hand from a mixture of finely ground wood and rags dried on textiles. On October 11th, 1845, the first newspaper was printed in 80 copies on wood pulp paper. In fairness, it must be said that the idea of using wood as a component in paper production had already been formulated and justified in 1719 by the French scientist René-Antoine Ferchot de Réaumur. In 1719, he wrote to the French Academy of Sciences in Paris that American wasps make a very fine paper similar to ours, and that they teach us it is possible to make paper from plant fibers without needing rags or linen. They seem to invite us to also try making fine, good paper from certain kinds of wood, and that if we had wood similar to that used by American wasps for their paper making, we could produce the whitest paper. Yet the French scientist's idea did not receive the attention it deserved at the time, and was soon forgotten again. The use of wood as a raw material ended the previous dependence on rags and textiles, and made paper production suitable for mass manufacturing. This led to a drastic reduction in production costs. Paper mills could now produce huge quantities of paper at very affordable prices. The beginning of the modern age of paper. Paper was needed in large quantities for the growing newspaper industry, for packaging, cardboard, paperboard, and many other purposes. In the 20th century, paper experienced another boom, driven above all by the mass production of newspapers, books, and other printed media. Paper became an indispensable medium of communication, but at the same time, people began to become aware of its environmental impact. Deforestation and the disposal of paper waste became topics of public discussion. The 20th century also brought the idea of recycling, and increasingly more paper was made from recycled paper to reduce the ecological footprint. Today, paper is indispensable in many areas of our lives. Yet we stand at the threshold of a digital future in which more and more digital media are replacing printed paper. Still, it is also a matter of sustainability and conscious consumption. Perhaps paper will never disappear entirely, but its role will continue to change. The history of paper in Europe is a story of innovation, knowledge, and cultural exchange. From its beginnings in the 12th century to today, paper has enriched our world in countless ways. Paper has shaped the history of humanity. What do you think? How will paper change in the coming decades? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.